Hello everyone, I'm Dead Knight and this is In It to Win It. Thanks for your patience while I took a little break there, had some vacation time, spending some time with the family, just relaxing, taking Hearthstone a little slow, but we are back with Season 91, hitting Legend in Standard with a off-meta deck that I'm calling SWOLEpertinger. This is a lot of fun. As the name implies, we're dealing with some seriously buffed Wolpertingers, just flooding your board, and heading back to your hand, flooding the board some more, and just making it really a nightmare for your opponent to clear and deal with. So how does this deck work? What are the key components? So obviously, the first thing we're going to be looking at is Wolpertinger. 1-1 for 1, been around since Scholomance, has been seeing a lot of play in Face Hunter, and it just makes a 1-1 that copies itself when you play it. So this is great for some of the other beast supporting mechanics that have come out since Scholomance. Now, one of the prominent features is going to be the newly buffed Leatherworking Kit. You'll recall that I said that this was the worst hunter card in the set. It's probably not anymore now that it's nerfed. It's playable. It's probably your best card to play on turn 1 in this deck. The reason is because this deck is actually not a face deck. It's not an early game aggro deck. It is a mid-range deck, and you need to play it like mid-range. So the first couple turns, you're going to be doing what you can to control the board and set yourself up for a quality turn 3 or turn 4. And that's when your support cards are going to come in. So what you're going to want to do, depending on whether you have the coin, is you want to play a Wolpertinger and then shuffle more copies into your deck. And this is the key part of this equation, is getting more Wolpertingers into your deck with Northshire Farmer, which is the new Stormring card, 3/3 for 3, that shuffles 3/3 copies of a beast into your deck. So you play a Wolpertinger, before they both die, you shuffle them into your deck with this guy, or you can shuffle it in with an old favorite, Dire Frenzy, which is in the core set. And that buffs it +3/+3 and shuffles 3 copies. So, a little more mana, but it's slightly better because it buffs the Wolpertinger on the board and then all subsequent copies as well. So that's potentially 12 extra Wolpertingers you can get into your deck with 3 copies from each of the Dire Frenzies and Northshire Farmers. Then you have Selective Breeder, which is newly buffed for an extra 2 health, which it helps, even though it's not a super game changer, but it definitely helps. Getting copies of Wolpertinger early, and then once you have at least a couple extra Wolpertingers in your deck, then you just start the chain. And now the reason why this chain is so powerful is because it's actually going to be punishing your opponent for clearing the board when you have Leatherworking Kit equipped. So you play Wolpertingers. 2 come out every one you play. They kill them, then you draw more Wolpertingers, and then you play them and copy them, and then you draw more Wolpertingers when they die and copy them. So every time they kill one and you draw another one, that one makes 2. So there's pretty much an endless stream of Wolpertingers coming. And the best card draw for this is, of course, the Warsong guy, the 3/4 for 4, that gives all copies everywhere +2/+1 when you draw the beast. So if you've shuffled a few Wolpertingers in, and then you play the Warsong guy, then you get all those new copies you just shuffled in also get +2/+1, and everything on the board gets +2/+1. So you can play 2 or 3 Wolpertingers out, which gives you a full board full of them. Drop this guy, draw another one, buff your whole board. You're dealing with some serious output of damage. Now, in order to enable this, we had to do some deck building designs here, which means the only beast in the deck is Wolpertinger. I've experimented with this, playing Trampling Rhino and Zixor, and even trying it with Rat King, and it works best when the only beast in your deck is Wolpertinger, because ultimately, to get this engine going, you don't want to accidentally draw something else. Even Trampling Rhino, which is so great, but it's just a little bit slow in this deck. It doesn't fit with the theme, and if you're trying to get things going early and set up those mid-range stressful plays for your opponent, drawing a Trampling Rhino doesn't help you. So you really got to play just Wolpertingers in this. And you offset that by playing a bunch of other cards that generate beasts that help you with Leatherworking Kit and help you get pressure in the early game. Now those cards are going to be, of course, Wound Prey, which even for 1 damage for 1 mana, making a 1/1 rush has actually been a standout for Hunter. Seen a lot of play in a lot of different types of decks. Obviously, Kolkar Pack Runner, even though it's been nerfed, as 3/4 for 3 now, it comes out a little slower, but it's still huge. Still generating lots of beasts, helping you with board control, and triggering Leatherworking Kit, keeping the pressure on. It creates a must kill for your opponent, so that's great. Then another one that I've seen work well for me is Tame Beast. So if you look at the potential Hunter 2-mana spells, you definitely want at least 1 2-mana spell in for Barack Code Obama, but Tame Beast has actually been the one that's worked out best for me. So your options are pretty much Scavenger's Ingenuity, which helps you draw beasts and buff it. And don't get me wrong, this is good, but you have a lot of ways to draw beasts in this deck right now, and ultimately you don't need it. It's a little slow. So Scavenger's Ingenuity, I was running it and ended up cutting it. You have Quick Shot. Quick Shot is, quality removal, can help in the early game, can help finish off your opponent. But ultimately, if you're not running a whole bunch of direct damage, Quick Shot kind of doesn't help you finish off your opponent because you can't chain a bunch of non-minion damage if you're only running Quick Shot. So I ended up cutting Quick Shot, plus you never run out of cards, so it's pretty much just a Dark Bomb. So Tame Beast ended up being great, and why it's so great is in the very early game, you can play Tame Beast and take control of the board with a 2/2 rush. So this is going to help you with peasants or any early game minions. You can play Adorable Infestation on this guy and take out your opponent's Razormane Battle Guard, or some other 2/3. It's really good against Paladin, who are playing 1/1s early, and then they buff them. So you can get rid of those things with the early Tame Beasts. And then on turn 5, which is oftentimes it ends up getting played, a 4/4 rush for 2 mana is superb on turn 5, because you get to quickly remove one of your opponent's solid mid-game minions while still getting your game going with that extra mana. So ideally by turn 4, you've played a Wolpertinger and you've copied it with Northshire Farmer. Then turn 5, you can play that 4/4 rush. Then you can play another Wolpertinger, or you can play Kolkar Pack Runner and then your Tame Beast and really take control of the board. Just lots of different ways that Tame Beast turns out to work really well. So I would recommend keeping this in. Now there's a couple other beast synergies I want to talk about. The first one is Devouring Swarm. This is just a colossal card, especially in this deck. Really underutilized in Hunter, but in this deck it is just a dominant force. So most importantly, you can play this on turn 1. You play Wolpertinger, and then you can Devouring Swarm your opponent's minion and get 2 Wolpertingers back in your hand, which each make copies of themselves for 4. This is also great because it helps you not run out of Wolpertingers. It's also great synergizing with Pack Runner, obviously. It synergizes with Selective Breeder, because you can copy a Wolpertinger from your deck, play the Wolpertinger, Devouring Swarm, and you get the whole board back and kill your opponent's minion. So you can get another Selective Breeder to get more Wolpertingers, etc. So it's great not only to remove your minions, but also to get extra copies back in your hand to keep these engines going. So that is great. The next one, and this is kind of a surprise win here, and it's sort of meta specific, but Ramming Mount. Ramming Mount has also been a standout card. Now you remember it was recently banned in Arena because it was just so good in Arena. Now what does Arena have that Standard doesn't? Arena has an environment where you're constantly fighting for the board, and those sort of immune attacks and death rattle minions is just such a huge tempo swing that oftentimes your opponent can't recover. And guess what? It works the same in Standard, especially now that the meta is back towards a tempo-driven meta and away from these one-turn kill Demon Seed decks with all those Demon Seed nerfs. So Ramming Mount is actually astonishingly good, especially against Druid. Druid right now has the highest win rate in Standard with Taunt Aggro Druid. So Ramming Mount is just a devastating card against Druid. You get to buff your minion, kill one of their minions without trading, and then even if they do get rid of your minion, which is really hard for them without the board, then you still have another 2/2 that's a beast. So it is still triggering your Leatherworking Kit. It's still immune while attacking, and it's just bashing through your opponent's minions. It's so good, especially against Druid, and is actually even better than Aim Shot in this deck. So if you look at this deck, you could potentially remove Ramming Mount and Tame Beast for Quick Shot and Aim Shot, and I think your deck's going to get worse if you do that. It does help you potentially close out games, but it's better to close out games with an endless barrage of Wolpertingers, and that's what this deck does best. So it cruises versus Druid, which is the best win rate in Standard right now. It's competitive against every deck. Even control decks like Control Warrior just don't have enough to overcome the endless amount of Wolpertingers, and it ends up just overwhelming them, which is the way the deck was designed. So I love this deck. It's been a lot of fun. It's an off-meta gem, and got me to Legend without that much difficulty, actually. So let me know what you think. Give it a try. Tell me what you think of the mechanics, how it compares to some of the other decks you play. But mostly, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to this video, and tune in next time.